G'day everyone, how you going? Hope you're having a good day. And our customers just brought this one in, and you can see it's got some rust going on down here. I don't know if it's rust or it's dirt, but anyway, he's brought it in saying it won't power on, and also that he's having problems with the RAM. And I've had a quick look inside and discovered some things that probably are leading to his issues, and they're things that if you know basic computer stuff, you should have spotted it pretty early on. But anyway, I'll show you what I found, and we'll rectify those problems and see if we get a working computer. So I'll just switch to a camera angle where you can see inside like I can, and we'll then I'll point out what I found. Okay.
Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3.
First thing I discovered was the power to the graphics cards were not connected. They were just down the bottom of the case. And then when I looked around, I noticed the fans weren't spinning on the CPU fan. So I had a look down the side, and the CPU fans were not connected either. And then when I had a look at the memory, the way it's configured, so on the left side and on the right side there's 4 slots for RAM, and on the right side he's got 3 sticks of RAM, 2 of which are matching and 1 is not. It's some kind of different brand, Mushkin. There you go. So he's got HyperX, which is Kingston, and then 1 Mushkin in a 3rd slot, and the first slot has nothing in it. So because it's not identical RAM, there's a good chance that's part of his RAM issue. But yeah, that's what I found so far. And when I actually turn it on, when I connected everything back up, it actually gives me a picture. So I'm wondering whether that's all it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to correct the RAM and put it in the right slots, turn it on, run some memory tests, and just see if I get any errors or whether it's stable, and then investigate further if the computer is working correctly. But it might be just human error here, where he's forgotten to hook up his graphics card and his CPU cooler. Actually, I should pull the CPU cooler off, because in something like this there's a good chance he hasn't put enough paste, or the wrong paste, or something on the heatsink, and it could lead to overheating. So I'll be checking that as well. But yeah, just silly things. So be careful when you're troubleshooting, that you reconnect everything again, and read up a little bit about how to set up your memory correctly. So many people make mistakes with filling the slots correctly, so that you don't get incompatibilities. Alright, let's correct those things, and I'll come back to you.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
Alright, got the heatsink off to have a look in there, and as you can see, there is thermal paste on it. It does look like it's still paste, which is good. So I'll give that a clean up. I think what he was saying, he was worried about dust on it, or rust. That'd be on the heatsink, but that's not going to really affect anything. That's just on the bracket part. But yeah, this is a X299 motherboard from ASRock, a Fatality. So if I'm reading this correct, yeah, he's got an i7 7800X, I think. So yeah, I don't see these every day. They used to be what was the high-end stuff, but yeah, you can see now the 2 lots of RAM banks. We've got 4 down this side and then 4 down this side. And yeah, I think he's just populated the RAM incorrectly, and that's why he's got RAM instability. So the way it should be is take the mush stick out, which is PC DDR4 2400 RAM, and he's got Kingston HyperX, and that appears to be, I can't actually see a speed on it. Kingston's always very cryptic with their model numbers. They don't just put, oh, it's 2400 on it. They have these mole numbers and you got to look it up half the time. I'm just going to use my magnifying glass so I can read it better. Yeah, it's one of these ones I have to look it up. So I'll do that right now because I need to know what speed he's got.
We're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed.
Alright, according to the internet, he's got HyperX DDR4 2666 megahertz. So that is where the problem lies. He's trying to put a 2400 megahertz and a 2666 megahertz RAM in one bank, and it's causing problems. So let's put it correctly so that the HyperX is in the same bank as that, and then this Mushkin can go in its own bank, and that will solve the problem. Alright, so we'll put the some fresh thermal paste on. It's a very big CPU and the base of this heatsink does not cover it fully. It's not going to fully cool it as well as one that had a larger base on it, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. If it needs to be replaced, we'll do that. I'll get the heatsink back on, put the graphics card back in, and then we'll turn this thing on and run some tests and see if that has resolved everything for him.
Oh, here we go again.
Alright everyone, so I've done the CPU cooler and the RAM and all that and given it a bit of a dust and connected it all up, and I got it to boot. But this is the interesting thing. So when we're in the BIOS, you may notice that it's saying there's only 8 gig of RAM. And I know for a fact there's at least 16 gig of RAM installed, probably more, because there's 3 sticks and at least 2 of them are 8s. So there's something not right. It's only showing it's in single channel mode and there's only 8 gig of RAM. So I'm going to look up the motherboard manual and I'm going to see how you're supposed to populate the memory on this motherboard, because I got a feeling it's not like a normal board because of the 8 channel or the 4 channels on the board. So I'm going to look that up now and we'll just see where I'm going wrong, or it could be just that only one stick of RAM is actually working properly and the rest are faulty. That's always possible. So let's just confirm with the manual and then we'll go from there.
This is gonna take a lot of work. Yeah.
Alright, I got the manual up and this is very interesting. So depending on the CPU you're running in this motherboard will depend on what sort of way you populate the channel. In this case, if you have a dual channel memory configuration, so the CPU only supports 16 PCI Express lanes, then this is the chart you use. But if you're running a quad channel, and I looked it up, so the i7 7800X, it runs quad channel. So here it is, max memory channels 4. So it's a quad and it supports up to 2400. That's another thing that I noticed. So it won't run the DDR4 at higher than 2400. So that chart we need to use is this one. So if you have one stick, then you put it in B1 and for a start, and then A1, D1, C1. If you're doing 2 sticks for each channel, so if you've got 1 stick in the channel, then this is what you do. If you have 2 sticks, you go populate B1 and B2 first, and then because he's got 1 single stick after that, he needs to populate A1. So we need to populate B1 and B2 with the Kingston RAM, and then the Mushkin RAM needs to go in A1. And when we go back up, go back to the diagram, so we need to populate B1 and B2, right, and then A1. So B1 and B2 first, and B1 and B2 are actually together on the left side. So we got B1, B2, and then A1. So we need to put the two Kingston together over on the left, and then followed by the Mushkin. All right, hopefully the RAM will come up properly then. As you can see, RAM can get very confusing.
My brain hurts!
All right, let's see what we get in the actual BIOS now in terms of RAM. All right, it's posting, which is a good start. It posted and then, oh, here we go. It took a while. All right, and we've got the same result. It still says total memory is 8 gig and it's in single channel memory mode, and it detects one module in B1 and not A1 or so. It looks like he's got 2 sticks of faulty RAM. I'm gonna have to test them one by one and to prove that they're faulty, and then if the other ones don't work, then we know. So it could be, yeah, just faulty RAM. But yeah, you gotta at least try and make sure things are populated correctly. Otherwise, the motherboard may not detect them correctly. All right, well, let's go and test the RAM, each individual one, and we'll put them into the A1 and we'll see what happens. I've got a feeling the other 2 sticks are dead, and that's why he's having trouble with RAM issues. Okay, I will come back to you soon. Bye. Well, it's been a day or so since I started working on this machine, and it's been a challenge, but I've finally got it to a point where it's booting, and we're actually in the process of installing Windows 11 on it, and this is one of the few computer specs from the 7th gen Intel series that is supported by Windows 11, because I'll just show you here. So yeah, it's a i7-7800X, and as you can see, I managed to get 16 gig of RAM working on it, and it's a 1080 8 gig card in there, which is pretty old. But yeah, when you do a compatibility check for Windows 11, the 7800X is actually supported. So the customer says, yes, I want to get that done. But when I left you, I was having trouble with RAM detecting and things like this. So what I ended up doing, and I'm just going to take you over to the computer now. Alright, so yeah, here's the inside of the computer, and as you can see, I've got 4 sticks. You can't see the third one because the heatsink's blocking the view. Can't do much about that. But that's how the RAM should have been. Basically the same as what's on the left side here. We've got slot 1, gap, slot 2, and then gap. Then on the other side it's actually slot 2 gap, then slot 4. So when you put them into the correct population of the slots, when you go into the BIOS, it'll actually say it's running in quad channel mode. So these motherboards could handle quad channel. Most computers are only dual channel, but this is a quad channel computer. So yeah, I got that all working. And that RAM is actually my own RAM that I've had in storage here. They're all 4 gig sticks of DDR4, and so it gives a total of 16 gig using quad channel setup, because yeah, I just couldn't get, I could only get one single 8 gig working with the RAM that the fella gave me, so it was never going to be a good option. And all these RAM modules are identical, which makes it even better, because when you have mismatched timings, it causes instability. So yeah, that got that resolved, but then it threw me a curly one yesterday. I I was already loading Windows 11 yesterday, and then suddenly the computer blue screened out of nowhere, and I went into the BIOS, and this the second one on the right had disappeared out of the BIOS. It said it didn't exist, and I tried resetting it and a few other things, and it still wouldn't come back. And I was just really confused, so I put the other working module in there, and then the first module disappeared, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So I ended up just getting some circuit cleaner, and I gave that slot a really good clean out. One of the tricks I like to use is to get my paintbrush and spray the circuit cleaner on the end of the brush, and then go in and rub in the socket with the brush so that you get the actual circuit cleaner right in there and clean out any rubbish that could be there. And put the stick back in, turned on, and lo and behold, it came back, and it's been stable since. So I ran a full memory test as well, and it passed. So yeah, in the end, that weird glitch was just dirt by the looks of it. So yeah, we're on the right track now. Hopefully no more weird things happen, and then I can get this computer back to the customer. But I'll come back to you once we've got Windows 11 on without any problems, because this is when it happened last time, is when Windows 11 was going on at blue screen. So if we make it right through, then I'll be really happy. And then yeah, I'll do some benchmarks, but because this is an older machine with a 1080, yeah, I'm not expecting any miracles when it comes to the superposition benchmark score. But at least this computer is Windows 11, and it's not going to go into e-waste, and the customer can keep using it, and that's a good outcome. All right, I'll be back once Windows is sorted out. All right, see ya.
Pretty heavy, huh?
Much later.
All right, so this computer's done. The issue with that second slot memory disappearing, it has not reoccurred. So I'm very happy with that. Windows 11 installed fine, so we're all good. So that's all set up, and basically now we're at a point where I can run the superposition on it, do the benchmark, and just see what score we get. But being the age of the machine, I doubt it'll be a great score, but it's still worth. I just find it interesting. Yeah. So we'll do that. And while I was doing all that, I decided to go ahead and test the RAM that the customer brought it in with initially, and he said he couldn't get them working, and I had the same problem. I couldn't get them working. Like, one would work, but none of the others would. Didn't matter if I set it up correctly or not. But when I put it in another motherboard and ran mem test on it, it passed all the memory tests for every stick. So as far as I know, the memory is fine that he gave, but it just refused to work in this motherboard for whatever reason. But it seems to like the 4 sticks of DDR 2133 megahertz RAM I put in there from G-Skill. So he's agreed to go with that because it's stable and works. So yeah, obviously some kind of compatibility issue with this RAM and that motherboard in there. Maybe it's something to do with the quad channel and it being a X299 motherboard. Don't know. But the main thing is it works. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll switch it over to the screen and we'll run superposition, and then let the customer know it's ready to go. So we'll switch over now. And now I need to get up. And it was legs day the other day. Okay, superposition's on, and let's do it. $4,079. That's really low. Actually, I'm just going to look up what my last 1080 was. Right, so I did a benchmark on a 1080 that was actually in a modern computer, which had a Core Ultra 5 225 in it, and it got a score of 4,097. So yeah, it's almost identical. It's just 7 and 9 around the other way. And that just shows you that basically the 1080 is getting pushed to its max. It's hitting a GPU bottleneck there. So that's as fast as the 1080 can go, basically. That's what that says. That's really interesting. So yeah, 1080 can basically do 4,000-ish points, and that's as fast as it can go. So yeah, that just gives you an idea. When I look at a 5060 8 gig, it gets about 7,394. So it's quite a jump up to the 5060, and people view the 5060 as not that great. So 1080 has had its day, but it still works fine if you're playing games that aren't intensive. And I noticed this guy has a lot of those sort of games, like League of Legends and all that. Although he's got Borderlands on there as well. And Elden Ring, yeah, good luck with that. If you stick to things like League of Legends and Terraria, those sort of little games that don't need a lot of GPU power, you should be fine. He's got FTL as well. Yep. But yeah, Elden Ring and all that, you'd have to turn the settings down to like potato mode if you're gonna run a 1080 with that. All right, well that'll be it for this build and this repair, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.